I'm gonna keep my team brief. Immigrants ajar. What it do, Crispy Crew? It's robe season. You know how that is. You know what that means. Well, it's pretty straightforward. Like it's robe season. You know, I don't really know how much straightforward I need to get when it comes to robes, my nigga. But that's why you're gonna be seeing me wear a lot of robes because it's cold. You know. This video is not about robes, and like I said, I'm going to keep my thing brief. We need to talk about Drake's latest album, For All the Dogs. Now, for folks who haven't listened to this album, I actually suggest you give it a listen before coming back to this video because it gives you some well-needed context. Recently, Drake dropped an album called For All the Dogs, with the cover art being done by his son. That's irrelevant as well, but I'm just giving you some backstory. Roughly, he did a lot of songs on there where it felt like the rappy rap lyrical spiritual shit, but it also felt like he was making some music that is out of his age range, if that makes sense. Now this made Joe Budden on his podcast basically say that, like, in essentially saying that Drake needs to grow up. And this video is a response to that. Drake doesn't need to grow up, and let me explain why that is. Hip-hop, it's always been a genre that was dominated by folks that were in the younger ranges. Usually if you were past the age of 25, your career is almost over, getting close to being over, or in some cases just started, but you're probably not going to make big waves because people like listening to younger artists. Hip-hop is dominated by what the kids, or in this case anybody under the age of 18 or 20, no, basically anybody under the age of 20 deems as good music. That's usually what hip-hop is dominated by when it comes to the majority of listeners. And as of recent, it's only been getting larger because a lot more of white folks have been listening to it. Hip-hop as a general has been gaining a wider audience. Now, why is that relevant? What I'm saying is that this can apply to people who've been rapping for so long, even though they've been rapping for so long. Take Lil Wayne, for example. He's been rapping since what, like 9 years old? The nigga's in his 40s, or either late 30s or early 40s, one of the two. Point being, that nigga is technically, like, off of a grand scheme of life, he's still pretty young, because let's be real, the average age that niggas die is fucking like 77 years old. So based off of that logic, he's still got some years to go. And knowing him, he's probably gonna be rapping until like he's 60, right? But a lot of niggas don't understand is that hip-hop isn't no longer dominated. Like, yeah, it's majority young folks, but it's not dominated by people who are young anymore. Hip-hop's too diverse for that. So whenever people say, oh, Drake isn't maturing with his music, or Drake isn't doing this, or Drake isn't doing that, it's because Drake has too wide of an audience. I remember seeing a tweet where it was like, Drake literally has too many fan bases to appease. He has the young fangirls talk about he need the more singing shit. He has the old day one rap fans who wants him to be spitting bars on every track. Then you got the hype beasts who just want him to talk about designer and killing niggas and shit like that. There's too many niggas, and there's probably even more audiences that I haven't even listed here. There's too many audiences where Drake is trying to appease to please everyone with just one singular album. I think that's why Drake's drops so much as he does. If you haven't noticed, Drake has dropped an album of some sort, whether it was a collab or a solo album, at least once or twice for the past 5 years. So there's always been a new Drake album. I'm confident. Don't fact check me on that, but point stands. Like, my point is that he drops music damn near every year pretty consistently and always finds hits out of it every time. It's just it's the Drake formula, right? That's what's going on. But niggas be like, oh, he's not maturing, he's falling off, I miss the old Drake. Well, here's the thing, no one's forcing you to listen to these albums. You could go ahead and just listen to that music, but niggas don't want to do that because niggas are stubborn. They want to be caught up, they want to be in the mix. But they realize that in order to be in the mix, you have to be accepting to and open to new ideas. Now, it might not always be good, but you have to be open-minded to it. For example, Drake dropped a song on his album with Yeet. I'm pretty sure, oh, fuck, what's it called? I think it's called IDGAF. I'm pretty sure it just means I don't give a fuck. Yeet's verse went hard because that's his type of beat. It was produced by Benny. Shout out to Benny X. But Drake was struggling to keep up, and niggas realized that, and I guess folks are using that as material to say that he needs to grow up and stop trying to appease these kids because he's not able to keep up with the times. But my thing is, who says he needs to grow up? At the end of the day, it's Drake. He can do whatever he wants because guess what? He's a grown-ass man, just like me and probably 90% of the niggas watching this video. So it's like, y'all can do whatever the fuck y'all want. If when it comes to a musical standpoint, at the end of the day, like, oh my gosh, he's talking about designer and fucking bad bitches. What do you think he's doing in his free time? So I understand where Joe Budden is coming from. Like, yeah, bro, you're in your 30s. You probably should switch up the flow a little bit. But if you're really that concerned about a rapper maturing with his music, at that point, just listen to Tyler, the Creator. Now, Call Me If You Get Lost was quite possibly one of the best hip-hop albums we've got in the last 10 years, and I will stand on that. But, well, one of, I'm not saying the best, but probably one of the best hip-hop albums we've got in the last 10 years. Call Me If You Get Lost is a certified banger. Classic, damn near, right? I personally think it's top 5. So in like the 2010s, 2020s era, it genuinely is, right? That's my opinion. But niggas don't talk about, or at least niggas don't talk about enough, how much Tyler, the Creator, has changed with his music, and I feel like it needs to be addressed. Because the same criticisms that Drake is getting, they literally could just be like, bro, we want Drake to mature with his music. We want him to do this. We want him to do that. Nigga, there's a nigga already doing it and good at it. Like, he's doing great at it. So it's like, I don't understand where these hip-hop old heads are coming from, constantly dissing Drake's. Because I'm gonna be real, the album wasn't even bad. It was a pretty decent album. Like, for a Drake album, it was like, eh. But like, generally, it's not even a bad album. So like, I don't know. In conclusion, Drake does need to grow up. You niggas just need to start listening to different music. It's obvious that you're tired of what's being played right now. That being said, like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.